Last year, the local grants committee made a proposal to the foundation for our club for donating funds to the 66 West for the community room, and this was our signature project. The grants team, led by Keith Benson, contacted other Rotary clubs in the area to solicit financial collaboration as well as a willingness to provide sweat equity. All clubs in the area agreed to participate, which allowed for our club to apply for a district grant. All of this was accomplished. The great news is that young adults that have been formerly homeless now have a wonderful roof over their heads and are receiving career counseling and other needed support. Keith, where's Keith? Keith, would you please come forward? Along with Lauren Dahlmiller, I'll mispronounce that, from 66 West. We are thrilled to award you a check for $30,000. This monies will be applied to the community room, and Lauren is going to give us a little bit of update on the project and the activities going on at 66 West.
Let me get a picture of this for you. Please, snuggle up there, Brian. You know what to see.
Thank you so much, Anne. I just want to say a huge thank you on behalf of Beacon for the tremendous leadership and generous support of the Edina Rotary and your district. We have been thrilled to open 66 West just in the last month and begin welcoming the first cohort of residents. It's looking like we're going to be fully leased by the end of June, which is wonderful and means that young people have really been waiting for these homes. So we're really looking forward to getting started working with them, establishing stability in their lives, and continuing the wonderful community partnerships we have established. These young people are going to continue to need a community of support. I brought some photos with me to show you the finished building, which I'm sure many of you have driven by or noticed. It's the old TCF Bank building. This is the community room. There is a kitchen space, as you can see, at one end, and also a seating space. And these windows that you see are where the service provider offices are going to be. So there are 4 youth advocates providing case management services on site. And this is just another view. There's also a television and a fireplace in this room, and it opens out onto a patio in the front. This you can't see very well, but the young people who are already there are collecting ideas for activities they want to do, groups they want to be part of while they're residents at 66 West, and they're already working with their case managers. And here are their shared values that are also listed in the community room. It's a lovely building. It's a beautiful space. And so again, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you for your support and the role that you've played. We are planning the grand opening ceremony for August 3rd, and invitations will be circulating soon, so look out for that. And hopefully we'll see you all again. Thank you.
When the grand opening occurs, I encourage everybody to go over and take a look at this. It is a fabulous facility. New member, Nash Falk. Well, anyway, he's going to be giving his classification talk. Nash.
Hey, everybody. Hey. Ann Platt's done an awesome job, hasn't she? Let's give her some love. That doesn't count as my 5 minutes. I'm not going to sing, but I know I could talk about where I'm from, where I went to school, but really what moves me, what I'm passionate about is people. And I'm super pumped to be here with all of you. I'm blessed and honored that you've shared all of your wisdom, because I'm finding out at firesides that I haven't done anything. So thank you so much. I think we're at a time in the world where we need to realize we need to unite and come together as people. As far as I know, we're the only humans out there. We're searching, but we're the only humans. Like, I think it's a good time to really come together. Another thing I'm passionate about is health. If we don't have our health, we have nothing. So that's how I found Scott over here, and we're passionate about just giving back to people and serving. I've had so many great mentors here, from Tim Murphy, Brad Hebb, Ann Platt, John Botolf. Did I get that? Botolf? I got it, okay. Skip has been awesome, but thank you again. I'm not going to go over my 5 minutes. Glad to be here.
Wait a minute. Oh.
I did. I got like out.
Always getting ahead of me. No, just kidding.
Try to keep it on time.
Sue Spalding and the Rotary Foundation Committee have been busy soliciting donations to the International Foundation. Today, we are recognizing the newest members achieving the Paul Harris Fellows and the additional levels. So now you can have the microphone.
Thank you all. Well, the Rotary Foundation campaign is quickly coming to a close, and you will never have to see me again. Not really, but anyway. And believe it or not, I'm a little speechless today, because when I think of what we accomplished this year, it's pretty amazing. You all outdid yourself. Last year, we were only at 60% participation in the Rotary Foundation. And this year, we are over 90% participation. That is awesome. And our goal was to raise $100,000, and you have surpassed that. We are over $105,000. So congratulations to all of you. But don't stop there. If you have not made your contributions yet, and you've still made a pledge, or you didn't even make a pledge but you want to make a contribution, there's still time, and your gifts are needed to get us to that 100% participation. And there's plenty of good that needs to be done in the world, just as Nash just said, and your gifts will have an impact on that. So please continue to make those contributions. Now today we're going to honor some of our amazing donors who helped us reach these goals, and they are called Paul Harris Fellows. Rotary was founded in 1905 in Chicago by a man named Paul Harris and 3 of his associates. And to recognize his leadership, Rotary International established the Paul Harris Fellowship in 1957, and it recognizes Rotarians who've donated $100,000, that'd be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? $1,000 or more to the Rotary Foundation. Many of our people in our club are multiple Paul Harris Fellows, meaning they've given multiple gifts of $1,000. So come forward when I call your name. Stay up here because John's going to want to take a picture. So join me in thanking and congratulating our new Paul Harris Fellows, Tom Cook. Congratulations, Tom. Bjorn Frundal. David Ossie. I know David's here. Brandon Asbill. Then we have John Mazzara, who is Paul Harris +1. Congratulations, John. And John wants to give his pin to his daughter, Elizabeth, who is with us also today. So please join us, Elizabeth. What a nice gesture. Jim Platt, Paul Harris +1. Come on up. Don Hutchinson, Paul Harris +2. Where's Don? Marie Pribble, Paul Harris +3. Is Marie here? Yes. And our last one today, Bob Hildreth, Paul Harris +8. Very impressive. Woo! All right. So everyone, let's thank and congratulate again our newest and multiple Paul Harris Fellows. Come over here.
I would like to recognize our newest member to join the Paul Harris Society. Would Greg Yack please stand? Thank you for your commitment to the foundation. Greg and his family have committed that they will give $1,000 per year to the Rotary International Foundation. Thank you so much. There it was. Bill McGreevy is bringing us our program today. Bill has been a Rotarian since November 1996, and his sponsor was Hal Harris. Bill is a major donor to the Rotary International Foundation and a contributor to the Edina Legacy Fund. Bill and his family own 16 funeral chapels and 4 cemeteries in the Twin Cities area. Their flagship chapel is at 50th and Highway 100. Bill has been gracious enough to allow the Rotary Club board for our meetings to be held there once a month, and we meet in the lower level of the facility, and this has been going on for well over 15 years. The nice thing about being at the mortuary is the fact if somebody gets out of hand, we just send them to the casket room and close the door. It really straightens them out. It's happened a couple of times. This means that one of Bill's staff has to come in at 7 a.m. to open the doors for us, and we really appreciate that, so thank you, Bill. Bill has 2 adult sons, Brett, who graduated from the University of Minnesota in, guess what? Mortuary science, and has now joined the family business. And his son, Blake, is a huge soccer player and is playing at Augsburg, and he plans to attend the University of Minnesota to get his BS and then go on to medical school, and maybe who knows what he will do after that, right, Bill? Bill and his family bleed maroon and gold. They are huge supporters of the Golden Gophers and the university. So it is appropriate that we have Bill introduce our speaker today. Bill?
It sure is a good thing we're amongst friends here, you know. Thank you very much, Ann. It certainly is a privilege here this morning to introduce our keynote speaker. And actually, Ann is aware, and the board of directors are aware, that we have been working on getting Coach Pitino for 3 years. So we greatly appreciate your being here. And I admire the fact that you were very disciplined in your priorities as you came into this whole thing. So I really appreciate it. Richard Pitino recently finished his 4th season as the 17th head coach of the University of Minnesota Golden Gopher men's basketball team. The 2017 Big Ten Coach of the Year, as voted by the league's media and head coaches, Pitino led the Gophers to a school record 23 regular season wins and an NCAA appearance for the first time since 2013. Earning a number 5 seed in the tournament, the Gophers' highest since 1982. 1982. Pitino guided the Gophers. Okay, enough heckling over there. Pitino guided the Gophers to an 11-win Big Ten season, the most since the 1990 campaign. 4 Gophers received all Big Ten honors, and Pitino received top coaching honors in the Big Ten from the Associated Press, as well as NABC District 7 Coach of the Year. In 2015-16, the Gophers set a new school single-season record with 313 steals. The team averaged 74.2 points per game, the highest since the 2001-02 season, and the second straight season under head coach Richard Pitino that the Gophers have averaged more than 71 points per game. In February, the Gophers defeated the number 25 and eventual Final Four team, Michigan State, in East Lansing for the first time since 1997. The team's first road win in the top 25 teams since 2012. In 1 year, Pitino led the Gophers to their second National Invitation Tournament championship in program history, posting a school record 25 wins in the process. Among those victories were 3 top 25 wins at home in Williams Arena, knocking off Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Iowa. And I could read a whole bunch more, but you know what? I'm not going to read any more, because when you knock off Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Iowa, there's nothing left to say. Thanks very much. Welcome.
thing on? Is this is the deal? All right, hold on. Never done one of these before.
Thank you very much, obviously, for inviting me. I know you've asked a couple of times. I wanted to wait till we had a good team and some good things to talk about before I'd come. So now I'm here. But this is I get the question a lot from a lot of people about this year. They say, how did you do it? How did you turn it around? How did you go from 8-23 to 23-8 in the regular season? And quite frankly, I didn't do a whole lot different. But if I could rewind it a little bit, how many of you guys remember, not this year, but last year, when we beat Maryland on our home court? They were top 5 in the country. Anyone remember that? Well, I remember we were about to win. We were finishing it up, and I think we had to make a free throw, and then all of a sudden everybody was coming down to the court to rush the court. And I remember standing on the sideline saying, all right, don't be the guy who cries on national TV when you're 1-12. And so I do my interview, and then I go downstairs and I turn on the TV, and there I see Joey King bawling, crying, and he was the guy doing it. So luckily it wasn't me, it was Joey. But if you listen to the words that Joey King said and how he talked about our team, we knew we were going to be much, much better. We knew that we just had to stay the course. And Joey, really, if you ever go back, if you're bored at work and you YouTube that speech, Joey called it. See, everybody in our locker room knew that we were going to be a really good team, but we had to just go through it at the time. And we started out this year 12-1. And how did we get there? Well, there's a couple of ways that we got there. We obviously did not win a lot of games. We had a couple guys get in trouble. And the best thing about my team, my players, our staff was we took ownership, which is hard with a lot of people in today's world to take ownership. And we sat there and said, well, we got to do, what do we have to do to change it? Because business as usual is not quite good enough. So we put together a program that I'm really proud of called Go for Pride. And we bring in speakers. We had one last night who was terrific. And we bring in about 7-8 speakers a summer over an 8-week period that talk about everything. I mean, last night we talked about sexual education. Next week we're bringing in, some of you may know him, Jeff Jones is a good friend of mine who was the Uber president, and he's going to talk about some things. So fortunately for where we live, we're able to get some terrific resources of people who can educate our players, and we're excited about it. We brought Mike Freeman in, the Attorney General. He was the first week. We'll bring in Kenny Smith, who you guys see on TNT, who is the analyst. We're going to bring him in, and we're going to end it. Our guys don't know. They're not going to be happy about it, but we're bringing in Navy SEALs to train our guys as well. So we haven't told them yet, but that'll be the cherry on top. But we started out this last season 12-1. And it's funny, just the difference, because I live in Edina, and just the treatment's a little bit different when you go to Starbucks and, you know, you're out in public, everybody's a little bit nicer to you. But I remember when we started conference play, there was a bit of a feel of, well, let's wait and see. But you could tell there was a slight buzz. And we started out 3-1 in the conference. I believe somebody mentioned we had won at Purdue. We won at Northwestern. We came home and we lost in overtime to Michigan State. We beat Ohio State. And then we started out 3-1 or whatever it may be. Well, does anybody remember what happened after the 3-1 start? Shout it out. He gave a thumbs down. Did somewhat like that, yes. We lost 5 in a row, right? And how many of you guys thought we were toast? Be honest. How many of you thought I was toast? Be honest. I did. But what happened was pretty amazing, to be honest with you. I was somewhat kidding there, but I went down to the locker room and I said to Nate Mason, And I think everybody can kind of relate to this at some point, whatever team you're a part of. And I said to Nate, Nate, we got to do something different, whether it's starting lineup, whether it's practice. I got to be on you guys tougher. And he said to me, Coach, relax, we got it. And I said, no, Nate, I'm not going to relax. I'm going to lose my job here if we don't turn this thing around. And he said, we met as a team, we're fine. And I knew right then and there we were going to be a really good team because the players were taking ownership and leading. And as difficult as it was to go through an 8-win season, it was the best thing for our team. I never, ever want to do it again. I hope I never go through it again. But the players in the locker room decided that it was their responsibility to lead the team. What did we do after that? You remember? Won 8 in a row. Didn't lose the whole month of February. And I'll be honest, I didn't do a whole lot of yelling. I didn't do a whole lot of screaming. They coached themselves. So I always find it funny, like when people say, oh, you won Coach of the Year. Like, my best coaching job, as crazy as it sounds, was the 8-win season. Because we didn't have any players run for the hills. We didn't have any players wanting to transfer. We didn't have anyone that ran and hide. They just said, bring it on. And it was unbelievable what the guys were able to do to go 8 in a row in conference. Has not been done here in a long, long time. So we're obviously extremely excited about this season. It's probably some of the highest expectations that we've had here in a long, long time, and I'm not scared of that. I'm excited about that. We've got the group to do it. They've earned the right for people to feel like they'll be good again. But you know what? We got to understand that last season was irrelevant. What we're picked preseason is irrelevant. What people think of us now, just like they thought before, really does not matter. We have a terrific, terrific schedule. We've got to play in the barn. Hopefully you guys come at the end of November. We're playing Miami. It'll be a top 20 team in the country. We play at Arkansas. It'll be an NCAA tournament team. At Providence College will be an NCAA tournament team. We have to play in the Barclays Center if any of you guys are traveling or want to make a trip. We're playing after Thanksgiving, so Thanksgiving's Thursday. We play Friday, Saturday. We play UMass and Alabama. Alabama will be a top 20 team as well. So we're probably playing 4 top 20 teams in the non-conference. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be a great test for our guys, and you play 2 road games. Something a little bit different this year than most years. We're playing 2 Big Ten games at the beginning of December, which normally does not happen. Normally you play them at the beginning of January. We are playing them because we're playing in the Big Ten tournament in Madison Square Garden a week earlier than everybody else. So we had to change the schedule. We did that because our commissioner wanted to get in Madison Square Garden, and the Big East is always in it. So basketball will be here, really good basketball with great opponents will be here before we know it. And I know a lot of you fans always want really good games in the non-conference. Well, you're going to have a lot of them before Christmas. So for me as a basketball guy, obviously that's extremely excited about. I'll talk about the newcomers that we brought in, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions or anything you guys have. We brought in, I call it 4 new guys. Devontae Fitzgerald was a transfer who sat out 2 years ago, and then he got hurt, so he was out all last year because of a torn ACL. Devontae was a transfer from Texas A&M. There were times with Devontae in practice, he was the best player on the court. There were also times he was the worst player on the court, so we got to get him a little bit more consistent. He's extremely talented, great kid, works his butt off about the right things, and if he gets healthy, I think he could be a really good player. So he's not fully practicing just yet. We've had 2 practices. We'll have another practice today at 3:30 where we can go 2 hours a week. So we'll go an hour today, and we went 2 30-minute little individual instruction sessions earlier this week. Mott Stockman, funny story. So Mott Stockman is a transfer from Louisville. I don't think that happens too often where you play for 2 Pitinos. And I went to, I actually went to Louisville to recruit Motts. And I said, I actually sat in my dad's office and did it as the Gopher coach. It was pretty funny. And I'm sitting there, and Mats is from Norway. So I'm like, all right, it's perfect. Norwegians, Minnesota, it fits. And I'm sitting there and I'm showing him our little recruiting book. I got a couple of edits, and nothing's really clicking with Motts. I'm like, there's not a lot of momentum here. I have a good feel for if recruits are buying it. And I said, you know what, Motts? I figured it out. I said, Motts, I am nothing like my father. He said, Coach, I'm coming. So that was my selling point for him. Then there is two incoming freshmen that I have that are coming in that I'm really, really excited about. One is kind of highly touted, the other one not so much, and I think both of them are going to be terrific players. Jameer Harris is a kid out of New Jersey. Jameer, in our first practice, he's a terrific three-point shooter, one of the best that you guys have seen in a long time play for us. He missed his first 3 in 5-on-5. He went on to make 7 threes in a row in a scrimmage. I've never seen that in 5-on-5 play in a practice. So he'll be a lot of fun to watch. Terrific kid. Turned down Stanford, turned down Princeton to come here. Terrific kid. Isaiah Washington, who I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about. Dynamic player. Fun to watch. If you're ever bored and you look up this jelly fam thing he started, it's actually a very, very creative, innovative idea. But I think that he's got a chance to play basketball for a long time and be one of the better point guards in the country. Take some time like anything else, but he'll have a good core to learn from. Obviously, Nate Mason will help him as well. So I think those guys will come in and they'll play right away. This is by far, and it takes time. I tell people this all the time. When you're building a program, it takes time. And obviously, we kind of took a little bit of a different route to get where we wanted to get to. But we feel as good now as we've ever felt. I feel as good now. Now, you don't ever feel, stability as a coach. That doesn't happen in our profession. But this is the most excited that I've been to work here. This is the most excited I've been to be the Gopher coach, because a lot of things have really, really improved in the 4 years that I've been here, and a couple of you guys know. I look out every single day and I see $166 million worth of brand new facilities for all of our student athletes. Every time I bring a kid on campus, I get to show them under one roof a full cafeteria for student athletes. Right above that, I get to show them a brand new practice gym just for us, players lounge, locker room, weight room, training room, all just for men's basketball. Then I get to walk them and show them we went from 5 tutor rooms to 35 tutor rooms. So to be able to do that obviously will help academics immensely. Then I get to go to the 5th floor of the building, and it's one of the coolest features of our new Athletes Village is the Land O'Lakes Center that has the nicest view in the Twin Cities, if you guys ever are able to see it. And what it does is it connects all these Fortune 500 companies with our student athletes. And at the end of the day, when you talk about great degrees, all of our guys want to play in the NBA, which is great. The reality is they're not all going to play in the NBA. So what is the University of Minnesota, what is my staff, our athletic department going to do about it? Well, you see this Land O'Lakes Center, and it's truly going to be remarkable. So we are in a great position to really turn the corner as a men's basketball program. We had a great year last year. Obviously, didn't end the way we wanted to, but we had one of the youngest teams in the country. Of 351 teams, we were in the 300s as it pertained to playing time. So we had an extremely young team with a lot of guys back. So it was a perfect year to bridge the gap. It was a perfect year with everybody back, with the facilities, with the new administration, all those things to build huge momentum. So I love it here. People ask me all the time. I want to be here for a long time. It's a special place, and it's so much fun. There's nothing more fun than coaching in the barn. So I would love to answer any questions at all. Yes, sir. Let's dive right into it. All right, go ahead.
As a longtime Gopher alum, I'm really happy to have you on board as our head coach. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As on behalf of the Edina Rotary Club, Richard, I'd like to apologize for misspelling your last name.
I wasn't going to say anything. That must have been from the 8-year win year. Yes, I've been called worse.
As I watched your team and heard about things that went on over there, I came to feel that the thing that turned your team around was your putting together the program that you did. For me, it shows that the basketball staff cared about those boys as individuals, not just as basketball players. Could you talk or elaborate a little bit more about who came in and how you went about that?
Sure. He's talking obviously about the Gopher Pride thing that we put together. And you know, when you lose, and part of what I was alluding to when I said that the 8-win season actually helped me, when you lose as a coach, and this is not our fan base, this is everywhere, you're on an island. And it's very, very hard to find great allies. Rightfully so. That's sports. That's the beauty of sports. And it becomes all about your players and your family. That's it. Because people are going to turn, and it's everywhere. They're going to move on to something else. And I had to commit myself, obviously to my family, but to my players, because you know what? They had nowhere to turn. So I couldn't sit there and be negative, beat them up. I had to find ways to help them. And I had to find ways to educate them, because it wasn't anyone else's responsibility to do that. And we brought in some speakers last year, and the lady that we brought back yesterday, they just, you know, it's hard being a young person today. And it really is difficult. And our guys made some mistakes that they owned up to, but they were eager to learn. I knew when we were going to turn it around, because we give them a little binder with a notebook in it. They don't have to take notes. I'd prefer it if they do, but I'm not going to make them take notes. And they were all taking notes. I mean, they were jotting down every word that every speaker said. So I had a feeling that helped them, and it helped them grow. And I think they were extremely eager, because you know what? I don't have a problem when people say I don't know what I'm doing as a coach. But when people doubt the character in your locker room, that's hard to deal, and that's a tough pill to swallow. So we were going to fix that, and I think we did. Yes, sir.
Coach, we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
You're going to have probably 10, 12 talented basketball players on that team. Everybody wants playing time. How can you keep those 10, 12 people happy?
In our profession, that is a good problem to have, is what we call that. But you know what? At the end of the day, I always tell our team, I say, playing time's easy. Finding the right guys to play are easy. Now, it's their responsibility to find a way, and I agree with you, this is the most players that we've had, to be selfless and only care about the team and only care about winning. And at the end of the day, the more you win, the more recognition everybody gets. The more you win, the bigger the stage is, the more NBA scouts come, the more national recognition comes. So at the end of the day, if you try to do it yourself, we're going to lose, and it's going to kill whatever opportunities you want outside of basketball. So I think it's a fun problem to have, and I'm excited to figure it out. Yes?
What do you think was the turning point when you said that the team decided to coach themselves? What was the impetus?
Well, I think at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily something that I did or said. It's just at the end of the day, as coaches, you're always saying, listen, you guys have got to lead. If we hear your voices more than my voice, we're in good shape. And I just think that, you know, when we won 8 games, I actually do believe this, and nobody ever wants to hear it, but we were actually a lot closer than people think. We lost a lot of close games, in conference especially. And I thought when we lost 5 in a row in conference, and everybody kind of jumped ship again and said, all right, enough of this, I thought that our older guys put their foot down. The Nate Masons of the world put their foot down. I brought the kid Akeem Springs from Milwaukee, and he just had such a great influence in the locker room. So at the end of the day, everybody talks about culture, right? And you know, with everything, we brought the right guys in, and they helped each other out. And they were really, if you watched our team this year, we were unflappable. Like, we really were not too high, not too low. We were pretty composed. And I just think that the year before helped us with that. Yes?
Coach, Reggie Lynch is a hometown product. And,
so it's your fault he fouls all the time?
But I don't think any of us could, of course, seen the breakout season he had last year. Do you want to comment on how you developed him and got him to that place?
Yeah, Reggie obviously is one of my favorite kids. Great kid, obviously from Edina. I thought he was going to be pretty special, to be honest, during the sit-out year. The only thing that was difficult was he was injured, had a couple of surgeries, so we weren't able to work with him too much. Well, now, after the year he had, because obviously he gets in foul trouble a lot, it is amazing if you look at our numbers from a production standpoint, when he's on the court versus off the court, it's not even close. So we got to keep him on the court. This summer will be great because we can really coach him, where last summer we weren't able to do that. But I've never seen a guy with better timing blocking shots. And what's funny about Reggie is he really doesn't foul trying to block shots. A little bit of it's just out of position or whatever. So I think, from a coaching standpoint, he can really take the next step. Great kid, great family. It's what it's all about. He came back. He's like, I want to be a Gopher. I want to play for my home state. And we got to get more guys like that, and we're doing that. Yes?
A lot of people are really excited, that you came here from the family that you do. What's it like, really, to have your father looking over your shoulder?
He said, what's it like having father look over his shoulder? He really doesn't look over my shoulder. I always get asked questions from the media, how is it living up to your father? And, the weight of the world must be on your shoulders. Like, that's the last thing I ever think about on a daily basis is that stuff. He's my father. He came to a lot of games last year because he loves the barn. He loved our team. But he's just like any other father. He just wants what's best for his kids. But I will use him as a resource if need be, because obviously he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm lucky. I've worked for 2 Hall of Famers in my life, Billy Donovan and my father. So both of them have been great. And, I always wanted, we played my dad my second year. And it's not that I'm necessarily against playing him, but I'd rather we both be on the same team all the time. And he's obviously been a huge fan. He loves coming up to all the games. He came to 4 games in the barn this year, which is unbelievable. And he came at Purdue as well. So he was a good luck charm this year. We got to get him back. Yes?
As a University of Kentucky alum, this problem, one and done. You have the same problem.
What was the
one and done? Where they?
Do I have a problem with it?
Play 1 year. And
Yeah. Well, obviously Calipari has. I have no problem with what John Calipari does with the one and done. I think Duke, Coach K has elected to do it as well. We all want the best players in the country, and we'd like to kind of figure it out from there. I don't think it's anyone's fault about the one and done, but I think the rule needs to be changed. What I'd like to see happen is, I think it's the baseball deal where if you go to college, you need to go to college for 2 years. If you want to go early and go to the NBA, by all means, have at it. But if you do go to college, I'd like to see them come for 2 years, because they're really not getting much of an education. They're just not. I mean, now they can always go back and finish. It's not like they can't do that. But at the end of the day, I'd like to see them get a little bit more, growth and development. But I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. Yes?
Are you talking to Trey Jones?
That would be a violation that I cannot answer. I'm not allowed to speak about it. Yes?
Did Fitzgerald tear an ACL in both knees, or the same knee twice?
He's
and
actually...
How long after this long hiatus, how confident are you that he can regain his athletic ability?
He's actually torn 2 ACLs. He's 2. He looks great. We're doing we'll do a non-contact portion of practice today that he'll be in. People can rebound from it. It's not as big of an injury. Now it's just you have to sit out. But I think with the resources that we have, he'll be able to come back, and I feel like he'll make a full recovery. I hope so, because he's a great kid. He deserves it. Yes?
You talk a lot about the students and the athletes, but I've noticed changes in the coaching ranks there, and I'm just wondering if your coaches, if they have different specialties, and the people that you brought in, what you think of them?
My coaching staff? Yeah. Hated them 2 years ago, loved them this year. No, they're great. I've obviously got 3 assistant coaches, full-time assistant coaches, and Kamani Young has been with me the longest. He's from New York City. You know, at the end of the day with assistant coaches, you just want guys you can trust and are loyal, right? I think it's like any job that you're in. And the guys, everybody on my staff, I have that. Ben Johnson is a local guy. He played here and is from here as well. He's terrific. Obviously helps a lot in the Midwest because, you know, I'm not from here. And he's got a lot of great connections there. And Ed Conroy is a coach I brought from Tulane, who more than anything, he's a great coach, but, you know, just being able to bounce off ideas of a former head coach is good for me. I was doing it this morning. So at the end of the day, they all do a little bit of everything. There's no one guy with any set specialty, really.
One more.
One more, yes.
You talked about showing the recruits the facilities. Could you talk a little bit more about the recruiting process and what message seems most effective with the parents versus the players?
Yeah, you know, in a recruiting standpoint, what do kids identify with, I guess would be the question. Winning, number one, is the biggest thing that helps in recruiting and getting a buy-in. You know, everybody talks about local recruits and how do you keep local kids home. Well, honestly, it's a couple things with local kids. We got to have great buy-in from our fans. It's our responsibility to do that, to get the buy-in. But it should be to a point where, and we got to win to do that, where if a kid meets someone in Edina and they say, you know, where do I think you go? Right away, no, you got to go to the U. If we can get to that, that'll drastically help local recruiting. I think the facilities is going to greatly impact not just our sport, but every sport. Because at the end of the day, it shows commitment. It shows commitment because if you have bad facilities, the kids visit and say they don't care. And quite frankly, we're really lacking in that department. As exciting as it is that we're going to have the newest one, that means we were we had the longest time to get one. So I think with that, it's huge. Exposure's big. Big Ten Conference is big. The way that I coach, the way that our coaching staff builds relationships, getting guys better, and then getting them into the NBA is huge as well. So a lot of great things. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. Sure.
Coach, thanks for coming today. It only took 3 years to get here, but this is good timing for you to come. This is just a memory of a little card from us, and I just want to tell you a little bit about Rotary. Rotary's 1.2 million neighbors, community leaders, and global citizens united for common good of service above self. Rotary has 6 areas of focus. One of them is education. So in appreciation for your talk today, we're going to make a donation to EdinaGiveAndGo.org, whose mission it is to bring life and learning opportunities to all Edina Public School students who may not be able to afford programming. So thanks a lot for doing it. Let's give them a hand.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Richard, thank you for updating us on the happenings within the basketball program for the University of Minnesota. We look forward to another winning season and a successful dance card, and it was worth the wait. Nash, it was great to hear about you, and we look forward to having you in Rotary, and we know you'll be a great Rotarian. Thank you to all the guests and visiting Rotarians for joining us today. We hope you will come back to visit. We won't have Coach Pitino back for 3 years, but, you know.
You learn how to spell the name.
Well, you know. Don't count on it. He fits in, doesn't he? He really fits in. Have you thought about joining Rotary? Next week will be transition meetings, so we will be recognizing the achievements of our club for this past year, and we'll be passing on the gavel to your new president, Sano Sato, who hopefully can spell. In honor of our speaker today and his involvement in basketball, I chose a quote from basketball coaching legend John Wooden. "You can't live a perfect day without doing something for someone who will never be able to repay you." Rotary Serving Humanity is about giving to those who will never be able to repay us. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the rain. Meeting adjourned.